Today's video is going to be talking about selfishness, and the Bible is pretty clear. We're supposed to be selfless, not selfish. And as people in America, living in the United States or even in just a first world country in general, your life has become about you. You're the star of your own movie. You're the most important thing to ever exist, and you're the center of the universe. The world revolves around you. That's what the world has become. It used to be that people cared about each other and they would do nice things for other people, or you would help a friend out, or you had family, and family used to mean something, because they were your family. And now it's like we've just completely forgotten and stopped caring that family exists and that it's a thing, and that other countries, people, I remember watching a video and they're talking about how in India people don't do drugs because they don't want to shame or put their family to shame. Imagine someone in America making any good decision just to keep the good family name. That's unheard of. And it comes down to that Jesus says, you gotta bear your cross, pick it up, and to bless the face of the poor, because you're blessing the face of God when you help the poor and helping other people and treat others how you want to be treated. And if someone hits you and strikes your face, then to turn the other cheek. Jesus gave all these talks, and he gave all these lessons and everything about essentially how to be, second, third, fourth is where you belong. God is first, and then other people, and then, your family and your friends and your wife. And he held all these other people to such high esteem. But one of the big things is God said the only important thing you need to do is to, worship God in all your ways and love him truly with your heart, but to also care about other people. He says that's like the best way to honor God and to live through your life is by being kind to other people and honoring, the Lord by showing your life to be a mimic of Jesus. Jesus went out day by day, healed the sick, cast out demons. He did all this stuff, and it didn't really, any of it was like, it was for us. He put himself into detriment. He died on the cross for us. That what did Jesus gain by being beaten and killed and murdered and suffering on that cross? He gained the ability to forgive our sins, but that benefits us. Jesus just selflessly gave himself for us. And so living a life after Christ is giving yourself for other people and not being the center of everything. And this is kind of a weird one to bring up, but what really made me think about this was watching the America 250th thing on the Tim Dillon show. That guy, he's a rowdy guy, but he's hilarious, to listen to. And he kept talking about these distinctively American things. And you listen to it, and in a way, it's almost a little bit heartbreaking. If you don't like your mom, never talk to her again. If you don't like your friend, just never speak to him again. If you see someone that's hurt or having a bad day, just get in your car, drive away, and you'll never see him again, and the problem's gone. And he talks about that stuff, and you're like, man, that's horrible. And he's like, you want to make a good living? Just post yourself on the internet naked, and suddenly you'll make a good living. Otherwise, you're gonna suffer. And it's like, he's right. He's honestly right on all this stuff, and it's pretty American. You go to other places and people will help you. They're kind. There's other parts of the world, it's like it's a sin for them to take you to be a foreigner in their land or a traveler in need, and for them to deny you help. It's like wrong of them. And here in America, it's like how someone gets a flat tire on the side of the highway and a trillion cars would pass before one person might stop and offer to change that rear tire for an old grandma. It's just everything in this world, and especially in Americans' lives, has just become about yourself. Alright, let me focus here real quick, but let this lady go by maybe. But it's just sad, we're not living a biblical lives in the way that, you know, things are. That, you know, normal daily American life is a very unbiblical life. You know, we've forgotten our values. We've forgotten what made people people. You see the news, and you know, I don't want to get political about this either way, but talk about like wars and Ukraine and Israel and Gaza and Iran and all these things. It's like, how often do you see the news and you're like, oh yeah, bunch of innocent people killed, regardless who it is, whether, you know, anyone, and no one cares. I mean, it's like the nightly news, and by tomorrow it's all forgotten, and those people, their lives mean nothing, and no one cares anymore. They're just dead and gone, and that's just how it is. And that's a really scary thing, you know, when you just completely forget about other people and just put them second. Forget they exist, that their existence doesn't matter. I mean, you know, we're so self-centered that we just don't care because it's not us. You know, if you see someone slip and get hurt walking into a store, someone might ask, you know, are they all right? That one person. But a lot of people will just pull out their phones and take a video and be like, oh look, this person fell, oh they're rolling around on the ground in pain, oh look at this target, what are you doing? And they never even stop to ask, you know, hey, are you all right? Did you get hurt? You see a car crash, and the first thing people want to do is, oh, did I get it on video? Not, I sure hope those people are not dead. I mean, it's like, it's a crazy world. We've gone backwards. And if you think, you know, sadly, I'll be the bearer of bad news. The Bible doesn't say it's going to get any better. Revelations and then the prophetic books of the Bible, where it talks about the end times, it says father will be turned against daughter, or father against son, and mother against daughter, and brother against brother, and families will be torn apart, friends will be gone, men won't know how to be men, women won't know how to be women. It's just, it's like we're all confused, and it's like we're all just a bunch of completely messed up kids that are just out here who just forgot. You know, people used to talk about the good old days, and it's like, oh yeah, like back when we didn't have crazy video cameras on the side of the road stalking us, the government didn't listen and record to every phone call ever gained. I mean, it's just insanity. People are just so blind to it. So many people just say, well, what am I going to do about it? And that's the truth. You know, I have that same feeling. You look at how bad the world's gone, and you say, what am I going to do about it? I can't stop people from putting up cameras and surveilling us, or people selling my data. I can't buy, I mean, you can't even buy a new car without them selling every single location you go to every day, everywhere you go. All new cars do that. They have little information that sells where you go, and it's like, man, that's kind of crazy. Who would have wanted something like that? And it just happens. And then you say, oh well, what am I going to do about it? You know, we're all in the same boat, we're all in the same sinking ship. Might as well just sit in my chair and keep my mouth shut. You know, what's the point of screaming on a sinking boat that we're all going to die on? And to a point, you're like, okay, yeah, I mean, I have that same train of thought. But, you know, the world can be fixed in some ways. Jesus talks about, you know, heaven can be here on earth. Heaven doesn't have to wait till you're dead and risen in the grave. Heaven can be here when you start living like Christ did, when you start caring about others. You know, heaven is caring about other people more than you care about yourself sometimes, and going out of your way to do something nice for someone, or just being kind to someone. When someone looks like they're sad, they have a bad day, just walk by and say, oh, I like your shoes, man. Or like, hey, are you doing all right? You look like you're having a rough day. You know, you need someone to talk to. You know, just a stranger. And if someone even did that to me as an American, I would be like, what the heck? I'd be freaked out. If I was having a terrible day, and I was in a gas station paying for gas, you know, you even have tears in your eyes, whatever, and someone asked if you're all right, I would be weirded out that they asked me, because it's so foreign to me that someone would, in a genuine, kind way, just care about you, you know, with no ill intentions, no, like, deceit in their heart, no ill-mannered thoughts, you know, in their head, that they just say, oh, hey, are you all good? You know, and just to care, just to be kind. You know, that would freak me out. And that's an American thing. It's, the world revolves around you. Everything's about you. You know, you're always right, you're never wrong. Someone disagrees with you, never speak to them again. Who cares? Like, you can't be wrong. Every thought you have in your head is just, it's you, you know, you're the smartest, you're the best. No one's ever been prettier or better than you, and it's always about you. It's you, you know, everything, the layout of your iPhone, it's superb. It's better than anyone else's on the face of the earth. You know, you can do no wrong. You've never, all your music you like is just so much better than everyone else's on the face of the earth. That current song you think is catchy is just better than everyone else. And it's just, we're so self-centered. We've become so much about ourselves. You know, so many people, their walk with Christ, it's more about them than honoring the living God. And that happens a lot. It's like, you know, you go to church, you read the Bible, you do all these things so you can learn how to live a better life for yourself. But, you know, the second in the passenger seat is God over there, and honoring God and caring about other people and giving your tithes and helping the poor, caring about the needy, caring about the, you know, the fatherless children, all that stuff. That's second seat. You know, that's in the back seat. What we're really here for is, you know, prosperity gospels. How can I make myself better? You know, oh, why I would go sit in a coffee shop with my Bible open and my markers so I can look like this girl on Pinterest. You know, what? It's like, just why did it get so complicated? When did the world stop becoming about living life? You know, just the selfishness of your job at work. People just crush each other. They just utterly make other humans suffer, and then they get a pat on the back for it. And it's like, what the heck? It's like, the better you can trick someone, the better you can wrong someone, the better you are of a businessman, the better you are of a salesman. You know, when you can get someone to buy that 3.5 EcoBoost F-150 with the, you know, the cam phasers that are bad because you warmed it up a little before they got there so they wouldn't hear the rattle, and now you're the salesman of the year because you're pushing these cars that are bad, and then you're selling it to some kid that saved up all his money. Or they always talk about, you sell, when your dirt bike's utterly clapped out and destroyed, go sell it to a kid that doesn't know anything, just enough that it'll run and start, and by the first time he takes it home and rides, the engine blows up and you block him on Facebook and never speak to him again. I mean, people do that stuff, and it's wrong. I mean, it's just utterly wrong. People forget that their actions have consequences, that so many times people can just do wrong things and go over and over and over and just keep screwing other people to the point that their consequences just become, you know, a figment of the imagination, and that they don't ever experience them. You can do these stupid things over and over and over, and you think nothing's gonna happen, and then, surprise, surprise, the consequences of your own actions come around, and they actually exist, and now you're utterly screwed, and you have huge problems in your life, and you've made poor decisions, and bad things happen. Or, you know, maybe the devil can trick you so far that you do all these wrong things. You just put yourself so far ahead, putting yourself first, and other people so far behind, stepping on the throats of anyone and everyone you can to put yourself ahead, and then you live this beautiful life, and at the end of your days you go before God and he says, what's wrong with you? You are a horrible person, and you're shocked. You say, well, God, this or that, and you try to give these lies and excuses that you made to yourself as to why this or that was okay, and it never was. And God doesn't listen. He doesn't care. He says, what's wrong with you? You're a terrible person, and now you spend eternity in hell. And I don't want that for you. You shouldn't want that for anyone or yourself. Or, you know, it doesn't matter who they are. You shouldn't want someone to go to hell. It's a terrible thing. It's a horrible place. You know, your worst enemy, you shouldn't want them to be there, and you should want the best for anyone and everyone, because, you know, the separation from the living God's a horrible thing. And, you know, the first thing, you know, coming to Christ is you gotta humble yourself in some sense to realize it's not all about you. It's God, then you. You know, it's others, then you. It's not all about you forever and always. And, you know, it's hard to do that. It's hard for modern people to realize that it's not always about them. That in some sense, you know, it's Jesus. If you spot the airplane in the air, I flew that airplane just a couple days ago, which is pretty unusual. It's yellow and white. What an unusual color. And it's not a Spirit Airlines plane. It's up there. So, yeah, but sorry, I get off topic. But the thing is, it's just that the world is an evil place, and the world wants it to all be about you. The world doesn't want you to care about other people. It's your money, you know, it's your time. Don't go volunteer. You have Netflix to watch. Don't help your friend if they're having a bad day. Just leave them on red on Snapchat. They don't know you saw that message or that you just half opened it. The whole, everything in existence has become about you, and it's become about your, you know, your satisfaction. You know, you're driving in traffic, and you're the most important one. You got to get there the quickest. You cut everyone off. You drive like a loser. You're mean. You're road raging people. You're swerving in and out of traffic. You're acting crazy, and that's selfish. You know, it's not about you. Right here, what I was doing, I didn't realize the lane ended. I'm not a Minnesotan, right? I accidentally just halfway cut off the little white car behind me, and he was nice. He said, oh, I'll let you in. Maybe he didn't realize what he was doing, whatever. He put himself second, and he was kind to me, you know. Maybe he could have road rage and say, oh, I deserve this, I deserve this. You know, share the road. The road doesn't belong to you. It's not all yours. Just, it's all these aspects of your life, you know. If you want to go out for dinner, you don't always have to go where you want to go. You don't always have to get what you want to get. You know, you can sometimes do what your brother wants to do, or your sister, or your mom, or your dad, or your friends. You know, you don't always have to like it. You don't always have to go see the movie you want to see. You don't always have to do everything you want to do. And you can put others first. You know, I'm not saying to be a little limp back, spineless baby that just bends it over for anyone and everyone and lets them just take advantage and take advantage. That's not good either. You know, that's wrong. You have to have a spine. You have to be a human. You have to care about others and God and yourself. You know, there's only so much you can do. Sometimes you need a break, you need a break, and that's just the way the world works, and you don't need to be ashamed of it. But all I'm trying to say is, you know, be open and honest and be truthful. Don't think everything is always forever about you, and it's that no one else, that you're the most important, that you're the coolest, you're the best, you're everything the world has ever needed. You know, that's not true. And it matters so much that you put others first. And it's just sad. It's sad that our culture has come here. I was watching that Tim Dillon American one, and it's like this guy that is pretty wild and crass and crazy, and you listen to him and he's like, yeah, you know, he's got a lot of this right. Why isn't our church talking about this? Why isn't, you know, the Pope out here talking about this stuff? And you start wondering, you know, why am I not getting to hear about this from the people that could, you know, make the world a little better place, the political people, whoever. It's always just about you and everything else. It's never about anyone else but you. You're all the most important. You're the most special. And that's just America. That's first world countries. And that's not biblical. That's not Christian to live a life like that. And you should recognize it. You should say, you know, Jesus says, stand apart from the crowd. Be the set-aside sheep. You shouldn't fit in with everyone because you shouldn't act like everyone else. Everyone else is doing these wrong things like that, acting like jerks and rude and mean, and you shouldn't be a part of that. You should be a part of the crowd that's loving God and doing the right thing, making the smart decision when no one else is. You know, walking the narrow road. That's the name of my channel. It's to walk that narrow road. And everyone else takes the wide, easy path of destruction, and you're not supposed to. That's not a Christian thing. Jesus says, get on the narrow road. Stay on it. Love him. Keep him in your heart. You know, be true to God. Don't be a human. You know, your heart, your wants, your thoughts in your head, they betray you, and they're wrong. And, you know, everything in life is all, they try to make it all about you. And maybe it's some CIA psyop. Who knows? It may, I don't know. But it's not all about you. It's about other people, and other people matter. It's not, everything in the world is not always about you. And that's just what the world has become. You know, it's become this. And you look at these young girls and these young kids, and you look at them, all the stuff they're sent to, and their phones, and all these crazy things they're having to deal with. And suddenly, you know, you should open your heart to not being so selfish to think that everyone's had it as easy as you, or maybe that you had it harder than everyone else. You know, they have, each and every one of us has distinctly different challenges in life. And if you can't recognize that, you're hurting yourself. You're not going to be able to see the full picture. And it's tough, you know. It's a bad world we live in. But you can start by not always having to make everything about you. You know, that's a small difference you can make. It's just put someone else first, just once a day. You know, once a day, let that idiot that blew through everyone in traffic, just let him around you. You know, don't have to road rage with them. Let the nice old lady who's going slow and annoying in front of you, and then just pass her like a nice person later on. You know, you can do these things. It doesn't always have to be about you. Not everything, you're not the center of the universe. And you think that you say, oh, I know, I make decisions, all this, but then, you know, do our lives really reflect it? I'm saying, just go watch that Tim Dillon show if you're a 18-year-old plus very mature person who can handle some pretty inappropriate language and all, and just say, like, wow, you know, that could be, maybe I exhibit some of this behavior in my own life, and that's not good. You know, you shouldn't want any of that behavior in your own life. A big thing that called me out when I was coming to Christ, you know, and really helped me put myself aside in selfishness was reading the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. I read that book, and you know, I could see things that I fell to. I could see my own mistakes, my own sins right there written on the page in ways that I never recognized them before. You know, the Bible says those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, and it's like my eyes were opened a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I did this, and this, and this, and I was giving the devil, evil, all these wins that I shouldn't have been without even knowing it. And it's terrible. And I challenge you, go read that book too. It's free on Spotify. You can just listen to it in audiobook form. That's how I did it. But, you know, go check it out. It's called The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. And then just think, you know, think about that the world's not everything's about you. You can do a nice thing for someone else every once in a while. You don't have to fit into the social cues of this world. And we're so indoctrinated into it, especially, you know, from high school to college to all this. It's you. It's all about you. We want you to make the most money. We want you to have the nicest house. It's me and you and all this other stuff. It's so self-centered, and it's just so far from the message Christ preached is what a lot of us live in our daily lives. And I know this is a long video and probably a little repetitive, but it's so frustrating to me that so many of us just consistently put others down, and it's all about us, it's all about me, and that's not how God lived. God got down on his knees and washed feet. You know, were you willing to do the same thing? Because you got to fully submit yourself to Christ, and that might be part of it one day. You got to get down and wash a dirty person's feet that you don't like. I mean, can you handle that? Can you handle not being the first and foremost in the center of the universe for a few minutes to live like Christ? And that's a big part of life. That's important. You know, think about it. Read those books, listen to that podcast, and just think about, yeah, this is the reality of the world we live in, and sometimes it's hard to see. But God's out there, you know, God's coming back. He's going to judge us. God's in control. No matter what, God's always in control, and it's in his hands. And so it's nothing for us to worry about. Don't doom and gloom for everyone always. Don't fall into that pit of despair. The world's a horrible place. You know, God's in control. We're all good. You know, nothing. We have hope. We have nothing to worry about. You know, we just gotta fight the battle, and God already won the war. You know, we're just fighting daily battles. The war's already been won. So it's not even, what are we worrying about? We already know the outcome. We have revelations. We have Jesus. We know the truth. So we know where to place our hope and what not to worry about. So don't fall into that pit of despair that is so easy to get into, the media and to podcasts, and everyone likes to put you in that fear pocket that the world's over, it's ending, you know, and that may not always be the case. So we have hope. We have Jesus. We have God. We have a living God who knows all the numbers, the hairs on your head, who cares about you, loves you, is active, living in your life, and knows you by name. He's called you by name. You know, the living God. That means something. That means everything. And Jesus died on the cross, and he rose from the grave, and we have hope. I mean, it's nothing to worry about, but start trying to bring heaven down to earth now. The world's going to crap. Yeah, it's only going to get worse, but you can do your part to not let it, not speed run it there. Alright, well, that's it for this video. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and I'll either read your comment or I will respond to it and make a video just for you or whatever else. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video, and You know, don't be afraid to ask questions. I'll try to respond or make videos over anything you want. So that's it for today, guys, and I'll see ya.